Everybody, wait a minute.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special I Mix What I Like live breaking news report. I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. While another leaked transcript from a Signal group chat is getting a lot of attention in the news in this country lately, we here at I Mix What I Like have our attention elsewhere and have a similar reveal for you here this evening. Now, many of us for some time now have been talking about a variety of efforts to dissuade or discourage Black people and others from radical political organization and movement building. We've speculated, alleged, researched, uncovered, explored a variety of counterinsurgency tactics and techniques. But through the diligence of our crack reporting staff, again here at I Mix What I Like, we have the transcripts from a leaked Signal group chat, which do in fact reveal the existence of B.E.D.S, the Black Excellence Deep State, an entity and an organization unelected and who seek to provide the best Black responses to the second Trump administration that produce the best outcomes for a Black bourgeoisie and middle class exclusively. So without further ado, let's turn to this leaked transcript and expose its participants. The first message we have here is from 19 Keys. Peace, family. We got to discuss the agenda for a Black excellence moving into Q2. The vibrations need to be raised. We operating at 3G. We should be at 19G. John Hope Bryant's response, facts. But first, let's get one thing straight. Who leaked our last conversation? We got people in these streets talking about B.E.D.S like it's a Netflix docuseries. Well, John, I think we must consider that in any given moment, there are factors, and those factors, when aligned, lead to occurrences that we must navigate accordingly, says Kamala Harris. Roland Martin, Kamala, for the love of God, stop talking in circles. You gotta decode what she's saying, brother. She's speaking in metaphysical riddles. Y'all, I just want to know who gave the leakers a signal invite, because somebody's getting cut off from the Oprah giveaway network. John Hope Bryant, yeah, I checked our finances and someone used our emergency Black Wealth Fund to buy 7,000 copies of Hustle and Flow on Blu-ray. Hey, man, hold up, said Terrence Howard. Damn it, Terrence. Now look, man, y'all ain't finna just assume it was me, man. What if I told you that the equation of the universe based on the computational fractals of melanated intelligence actually predicted that them Blu-rays be bought, man?
The fuck is he talking about?
Yo, that's high-level thinking. He's operating on a 21st dimension plane. No, he's not. If we zoom out and look at this situation holistically, we must understand that when Blu-rays are purchased, there is, by the very nature of the transaction, an economic exchange. Roland Martin says, Kamala, what the hell does that even mean? Oprah Winfrey comes back. All right, we need to get back on track. We have a Black Excellence takeover to plan. What's next on the agenda? 19 keys, reparations, but not the way people think. See, I propose vibrational reparations, trademark. The frequency of our ancestors was stolen, so America owes us a collective consciousness refund. John Hope Bryant, I'm begging y'all just to ask for direct deposit like normal people. Hold up, man. What if, hear me out, what if the true reparation is within the algorithm of the cosmos, man? Roland Martin, oh my God, Terrence, get out the chat. Oprah Winfrey, this is getting out of hand. We need a unified Black strategy. Who's running in 2028? Kamala, you in? Well, when we look at the elections, we must first recognize is that they are, in fact, elections. And when people vote, I'm out. I quit, I'm out, said Roland Martin. Roland Martin has left the chat. John Hope Bryant, I told y'all to use WhatsApp. This is why we can't have nice things. Oprah Winfrey, you get a Black agenda, you get a Black agenda, everybody gets a Black agenda. All right, everybody, you heard it here first. We are uncovering the Black Excellence Deep State. Stay tuned to I Mix What I Like for more. And one more thing, live from these tree-lined streets, it's Saturday night.
I mix what I like, what I like. I mix what I like is exactly where you want and need to be. I mix what I like, organic, vegan, soul food from your immediate diet. Live healthy. I mix what I like, what I like.
We're here on I Mix What I Like. You may check us out on imixwhatilike.org, where you can see all these other shows and what my daddy likes and other cool things.
What's up, everybody? There we go. Welcome to I Mix What I Like Saturday Night Live. Hope you enjoyed that. Had a little bit of fun there. It was sort of like a dare from, I took it as a dare from a couple of friends of mine. And the goal was to beat tonight's episode of Saturday Night Live with a cold open that made fun in our context of what has to be the cold open for SNL tonight, right? And I appreciate that. Thank you all very much. That was, and I appreciate that it worked out, especially because that was the second version. The first version didn't, I couldn't even technologically finish pulling it off. But thank you all very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So we'll see what more we can get from the Black excellence deep state. We'll keep our eyes open. Oh, by the way, Renee, what's up, Renee? Please, everybody, check out today's episode of Saturdays with Renee on Black Liberation Media, and our discussion with Davon Love of Leaders of Beautiful Struggle about electoral politics, where we were a bit more serious than I'm being. But in addition, Renee, you said something a couple of weeks ago about my shirt. So I have got shirts. MOBP, Real Financial Literacy is Political Power. Only the one color, 3 different sizes. So Renee, you definitely, and I think we got to do something for channel members and patrons first, I think would be appropriate. But then we can see, I'm open to some suggestions as to how we can best distribute them, get them out. So Renee continues to inspire. So yeah, so right on. Well, that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. And I'm up for doing all this kind of stuff, but I honestly don't really know what's the best way to do it. The way I'm doing it right now is not sustainable. I do know that much. So beyond this right here, we're gonna have to, because I definitely was not. I was doing it for speed, not so I don't need to make money. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't do it this way. That's all. So I don't know. I don't know what the best way to do it. I actually was thinking initially with like this batch here of giving them away to patrons and channel members, but I only have 5 medium, 4 large, and 5 extra large. So I don't have that many, but patrons and channel members first. I think I try to treat like both the same, but I don't know. What's up, Jared, in the building? Millennials are killing capitalism, are also killing media production and journalism. Yeah, I just can't lose money. I just can't be out here just like, like I said, this arrangement is cool for a one time, but this is not sustainable. I'm not a businessman, and but I know this is not sustainable. So, but okay, so I do have a couple things beyond the little fun we had with B.E.D.S, the Black Excellence Deep State. Oh man. And we do, I am very much, at least especially today, on the we got to have some humor with some of this. But by the way, I did mean to specifically well, just quickly from the B.E.D.S thing, because oddly, I did want to point out that it was developed as a joke, but I can't help but notice, having especially watched it a few times with editing, that the first Kamala Harris line about, however silly it may seem, the purchase of Blu-ray discs creates an economic exchange, creates an exchange from which wealth is produced. I forgot the exact line. Is actually right. So she, not that she doesn't deserve it, and she gets clowned in this piece, but that is actually accurate. And in some ways, that consumption and exchange should be respected. So that was one thing I meant to note. And then we talked about it on the remix yesterday, again on Black Liberation Media. So I just wanted to highlight that this was the cold open was especially fun in light of that whole Roland Martin versus the Breakfast Club exchange, which I enjoyed. I had way too much fun watching that. That was crazy. So, but yeah, okay. Definitely wanted to thank again patrons and channel members and everybody who's able to be here and support and just hang out. Appreciate you all very much. And yeah, that was really it. And so thank you. Really appreciate the support and the community that this little thing generates. All right. So I just caught, and I'm glad I caught this a little bit earlier today. So I don't have much, but let me share this here. That earlier today, Robert Townsend put out the word that today is the 34th anniversary of my film, The Five Heartbeats. Thanks to my friend and co-writer Keenan Ivory Wayans. Thanks to the cast and crew and the fans who have supported the film. Please check out the documentary Making the Five Heartbeats, available on iTunes, Amazon, and YouTube. I don't care. All Vernon philosophy notwithstanding, all of that contradictions notwithstanding, I love this movie. I rewatched earlier today the documentary he suggests making, and he did a couple of edits since the first time I saw it. He catches with an audio, because during the documentary, well, anyway, please, if you haven't seen the movie, if you haven't seen the documentary about the making of the movie, please do all of it. I just love the movie. And then the documentary, initially, as he's talking about it, there were so many gems that are in there. A couple of political foibles that had to be corrected, including where he talks about how R. Kelly was among those who auditioned when he initially put out the cast call for Five Heartbeats. By the way, let me see, what is there sound on these? Going on.
Take your time.
Going. Again, I may be an atheist, but I love gospel. And when that song is performed in the movie to this day, it takes some effort to fight back some tears. That is a great scene, great song. So that was one thing that I didn't, I don't know if this was a reshoot or if I just didn't remember or suppress the memory. Robert Townsend has a lot of he's very, very religious and church going. And I don't remember ever knowing that about him, despite being a big fan of his work, going back to Hollywood Shuffle, of course. And yeah, Leon, of course, Leon. And so So, but in the documentary, they also talk about the making of the film. So initially, the goal in the mid to late 80s, when he and Keenan Ivory Wayans wrote the film, he had in mind a very different cast, which would have included Whitney Houston, who ended up turning down the film and regretting it. Denzel Washington, who by the time they got to shoot the film was too expensive and coming off of his Oscar for Glory, so they couldn't get him in it. And many others. It was going to be a very different, it seemed like, if not different film, different cast. But he talks about all of that. Then he talks about the difficulty of getting it greenlit. And initially he was told, quote, "There's no audience for this film." And this is one of the reasons for the delay, and one of the reasons why he lost the ability to get Denzel and a couple of others. Although it's hard to picture Denzel playing Eddie Kane. And I almost think that worked out the way it should have. But the documentary was also a reminder of the need. When they say that there's no audience for this movie, what they mean is there are no white people that want to see a movie about 5 black men who overcome Jim Crow and poverty and a neoliberal music industry and the co-optation of art and the tensions of fame and celebrity. It was an homage, of course, to David Ruffin and the Temptations, who Robert Townsend had to turn down, because initially David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks were going to be the consultants. But the movie studio said they couldn't do it because they knew they would end up getting sued by Berry Gordy, who it would have been clear would have been, or well, they thought would have been seen as being depicted by the character of Big Red, who's beating up people, hanging them over balconies, stealing their royalties. My office hours are when, like it's great. But by the time by the time another group of white men decide that they want to green light the film, they have to recast and then go through all the drama of what can stay in, what can stay out. The famous album cover scene where the artists are told, I don't know if anybody knew this. I didn't know the details of this, but when there's that scene where the Five Heartbeats are told that the album cover for their new album release was going to feature this white group or family or whatever, that was based on the B.E.D.S very real experience. And they showed and I should have pulled that up, but they showed the album cover from the B.E.D.S collection. And Robert Townsend in the documentary shares the story of saying to them, he's going through their album collection. He sees this album. He's like, what is this white couple all lovey-dovey on this cover for? And he said it brought back a lot of hostile memories, that they had arguments about it, and they had to capitulate to the record, where they chose to capitulate to the record company to get the album out. But then there's a very interesting moment in the documentary where they explain how when the film finally got made, he finally gets it through all of the shoots and reshoots and whatever they got to shoot, and this shoot and that shoot, and all the other politics of the funding and the pace of the production. And, because apparently once you get greenlit, it goes very quickly. They have this another layer of pain that I, before seeing this documentary some years ago, never understood to be part of I just wouldn't have thought of this part of the sort of the management of the process. And they said basically that the trailer for the film ruins the film. And that when they saw the trailer that ended up being, because they said they got this full PR campaign. They got private jets flying them around. They had pickup games in cities all over the country with local artists and legends, and all kinds of stuff. They did a whole bunch of stuff. But when the trailer came out, it was terrible. And I did rewatch it. I'm a little, I'm not going to play it because I just don't feel like playing with the copyright folks. But the trailer just makes it seem like a silly, goofy movie that doesn't really explain what the story is. It's just like they're singing, they have a career. It's like, hey, it's and it's they're black friends who sing, and everybody just said the trailer's just, and then they had this whole, and apparently they went on B.E.T. at the time to explain why the trailer discouraged people from seeing the film. And after the first weekend, when people didn't go see it, they pulled it from a lot of theaters. So a lot of people didn't really, I remember I was in the Navy. I saw it by myself in a theater somewhere in Southern Virginia, somewhere around Norfolk, I guess, or Virginia Beach. And I loved it from the beginning. And but they said it didn't really catch on with people until it got released on VHS, which is a phenomenon that doesn't happen anymore. A lot of movies got second life or first life once they went to VHS, and now that doesn't happen anymore. You just become part of the streaming preserve, and it doesn't. There's almost no way for this sort of underground revival. So the other thing that they said was interesting was that the film was released against New Jack City, and between the violence in the film and some violence in theaters that occurred when the film was released, they felt that caused them to promote the film with the trailer for TheFiveHeartbeats as something totally devoid of controversy. And so I just thought that was interesting. But I just love the film. It's a great film. And I don't know if I'm seeing this in the right time, but that was you. That's why. Oh, I believe that. It's not a belief. I've been there. And again, I'm as atheist as it gets, but I've been there. I'd like to think that the funky drums of the mama's no, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Would enjoy and light is different than move to tears. Uh-oh. Look. You and him Tume are not going to ruin this for me. I'm not even ever going to ask him Tume what he thinks of this movie because I will not. I'm just going down with the ship on this one. The movie is. Oh, you questioning my atheism? Oh, all right, yeah, I guess fine. Who's mad though? Okay, we could talk about that. That's fine. I don't, but I don't know if I've experienced gospel house, but I've been in house spots. I've been I've even been to one of them South Side Chicago trumpet horn. I don't know what they were doing, but it was something. And it was, You know, obviously the go-go. I've been trance-like when at a DJ Spinner Wonder Party. In Marangu, Tanzania. I promise you, if you close your eyes, you would have thought you were in First Nations peoples when they start doing the circular dance and they got the bells attached to the anklets and they're rocking. There was something like that happening in Marangu, Tanzania, and it was like, and I was, so yeah, no. Yeah, that Chicago thing was nice. That was anyway. But anyway, Five Heartbeats. Happy anniversary to the Five Heartbeats. All right, one other thing, because unfortunately, my baby girl is dealing with this again, and this was sent to me, and I just thought I would share because I thought it just is so fascinating. Women are 2 to 8 times more likely to tear their ACL, but only 6% of ACL research focuses on women. Listen to me. Now it's official. Now I'm finally pissed at the patriarchy. This is it. This was it. Up until I saw this, I was like, man, I think women may be arguing, but women, misogyny, is it really? Now it's official. Ring the alarm. But this is crazy. This is crazy that obviously this is in the context of Juju getting hurt but that stat was crazy. So but it continues. Here's what we know. It's in the knee. The anterior cruciate ligament helps connect the thigh to the shin and helps maintain stability. It's usually non-contact, which is exactly what happened with baby girl. ACL tears often happen due to sudden force when switching directions. Exactly. For example, dodging a defender in soccer. Exactly. Or landing when coming down from scoring a layup. What does the research say? Well, it doesn't say much. A paper titled Invisible Sportswomen, the Sex Data Gap in Sports and Exercise Science Research found that out of over 5,200 publications in sports and exercise science journals, only 6% focused on women exclusively. This means that the vast majority of research is geared towards men and women or towards men and women or exclusively men. That's crazy because the amount of knee injuries and concussions, our doctors already said for it's already understood if that girls and young women get concussions and knee injuries at rates, I forgot the numbers, but far higher than boys and young men. So this is ridiculous. Some scientists justify this absence of women's ACL tear research by the influence that women's periods can have on research results. They also suggested, our doctor also said that he didn't suggest this. He said, I haven't studied it to see it conclusively or not, but he's seen research that also connects ovulation to knee injury. So I don't know what that means, but that should be more reason to research it. So this is counterintuitive to me. So that because women have periods and it can affect the research, then study more. I don't understand why that should be. Anyway, the distinct differences between male and female bodies underscore the necessity for increased research focused specifically on women's health. It is evident that significant gaps exist in this area. While a handful of individuals, companies, and organizations are making strides in addressing women's health issues, there remains a pressing need for further exploration and study. Yeah, I mean, damn. Women are 2 times more likely to tear their ACL than men, and here are a few reasons why scientists and doctors, based on the research, why scientists and doctors say, based on research that's been done, our anatomy. Wider hips cause knees to tilt inward. Our hormones, meaning those of women, obviously, estrogen affects the strength of ACL and puts it at a higher risk during certain stages of the menstrual cycle. So sort of what I just was saying. Our biomechanics, looser knees than men's with thinner muscle tissue and unique movement patterns, increased risk. Recovery time. On average, it takes anywhere from 6 to 9 months for athletes who don't have surgery and 9 to 12 months for those who do. Yeah, but 6 to 9 months, you can't come back. You're not playing. And then here's some of the Juju Watkins, some of the players that have torn their ACL. Megan Rapinoe 3 times. So I shared this with my daughter in particular for this one right here, just to say, look, she did it 3 times and went on to lead the national team several times. So it's definitely not over, but damn. After looking into ACL tears in female athletes, we have observed that one of the most distressing aspects is their unpredictability. Yeah. Regardless of an individual's physical condition, whether they are elite athletes or not, ACL injuries can affect anyone with any range of age and skill level. This reality will persist until further research is conducted. Our thoughts are with Juju and all athletes who have endured this painful injury. We advocate for increased resources and dedicated efforts towards research, with particular emphasis on addressing the needs of female athletes. So, again, this is another reason why we're going to have that revolution, because something tells me this current administration's not looking to deliver more funding for something like this, if any funding for any medical research. And as was discussed in great detail again on Saturdays with Renee over there on Black Liberation Media earlier today, the Democrats weren't doing nothing about it either. Because it's not like it didn't say up until 2024, up until early 2025, the funding for the study of women's knee injuries was 50-50 or 60-40 women, 70-30, or just whoever, and then it dropped. Nope, it didn't say that. I must have missed that part. Yeah. So, but that was crazy. Those disparities are ridiculous. All right. So another thing I wanted to share this fine Saturday evening, and again, thanks everybody for coming through. Yeah. El problema es el capitalismo. Verdad. And that's funny because I happen to be drinking the truth as we speak. So, verdad. Somebody asked me they said, what, not that they should, said, what IPA would you recommend? I said, La Verdad. All right. So I'm watching it's a little bit it's not really random because I watch but I wasn't intending. This is just sort of fun watch. Just watching. Well, from time to time, I watch Godfrey's podcast, Dante Nero, and whoever their guests are, and generally enjoy the show. Usually don't, but I saw this show up in my algorithm, and it's titled "Be Your Own Boss." So admittedly, I said, okay, Be Your Own Boss featuring TKKirkland, who I do think is funny. In what little I've seen, I don't pretend to be an expert in his comedy, and at this point, I don't watch. I watch, to be honest, this is kind of what they end up talking about. I watch more, almost more podcasts and stuff than I do actual stand up. And I haven't been live to a comedy club in forever, so. But I did think. First of all, I thought, admittedly, and again, shout out to the t-shirt idea, and Renee and the t-shirt idea. But I also thought, admittedly, this is why, humbly, I think my work on this buying power thing is important, because it comes up in a variety of ways all of the time, everywhere, and in all of the same kind of ways, that is absent a lot of really thought about what is being said, I think. So they're having this conversation, they're talking about careers, they're talking about longevity, they're talking about, first of all, I skipped a note here. So shout out to Dante, who apparently has seen a little bit of the show here at one point. I don't know if he'll ever see this. I might send him this, see what he thinks, get his thought. Because I appreciated that he reached out at one point. But first of all, Godfrey, I don't care what. Hold on. Let me just pretend like he would ever see this, right? Godfrey, I don't care what your experience is. How dare you say something negative about Nia Long? That's it. Okay, that's it. So apparently they had some sort of negative interaction at some point, and he had the nerve. And I said, if I ever have a chance, no, I'm just playing. But then, so okay, all seriousness, they said they get into this conversation about careers and longevity and taking care of your own business, understanding the business, understanding the comedy world, promoters, And it's titled "Be Your Own Boss." And I just and just kind of they get to this point where they're talking about TKKirkland says something about black comedians who hit a certain level of celebrity needing to go back to black owned venues to support black owned businesses and black venues. And then there was that kind of familiar pushback from Godfrey and Nero that we hear about, well, then black owned businesses need to do better in providing better service. And in particular, and this I guess I could see being a real problem if you're a comic, in encouraging people to sort of respect the fact that somebody's on stage, and as I understood it, even if you're not heckling, like especially if you're not heckling or trying to engage the comic, which I wouldn't, not that they would encourage that either, or I would encourage that, but just the background talking and all this stuff, and I definitely appreciate that. Even in my role as a teacher, I can't stand second and third conversations in the room. But again, in this context of be your own boss and self-sufficiency, I want you just check. Let me make sure. I think I got it at the right spot. Check and see. I think you'll all hear what I heard, and yeah.
Once I started doing the circuit, I remember it was me, it was Tracy Moore. I was doing all those fucking crazy Tina Graham shit with Tony Woods and all that. Tony let me stay at his place when he was house sitting for Warren Hutchinson.
Right.
And I was in Flatbush, and I was like, I was with Tracy Moore when he was fat. Tracy Moore, it was all of them. Jameek, it was everybody, you know. And I was like, I was doing one show. I was in Harlem doing one show. Then I did another show. And then they was like, yo, man, we got more shows, nigga. I was like, y'all got more of them shit?
Right.
And I said, I ain't going no fucking way. I'm staying right.
You can do 3 shows in one night.
Nigga, you can do 6. You can do 7. Easily. 7, 6, between 5 and 7.
In one night.
And I was like, and then I stayed longer. I said, oh, there goes Dave. There's Dave Chappelle. There's Robin Williams. There's Jerry Seinfeld.
And that's that's what the comics don't have. That's why I was with Desi Arnaz. Desi Banks.
I was about to say, Desi Arnaz.
Here we go.
Desi Arnaz Jr., maybe.
Desi Banks.
Okay.
He's at my show in Jacksonville. He came by to see me. And we started talking, chopping it up. Yeah. And I explained to him the history of comedy.
A lot of them don't even know it.
I said, yo, you have to do black comedy clubs. I said, you have to, so we keep the doors open. Because now that we're in the Heliums and the Improv, I go back when we had to rent our own venue.
Yeah.
We had to get our own venue before. Not that they was against us. The black comedy wasn't just that big yet.
Yeah.
You right?
And now it sustains most of these clubs.
Yeah, we keep them afloat.
It saved the Comedy Store, right?
It saved everybody.
So this was another interesting thread that I actually started to look up some research on that maybe one day I might come back to, but this thread of black comedy saving white comedy venues, which is the part that they're getting into, but I've been, there's just not enough time but that is an interesting, I would like to learn more about that. But anyway, they get to this. He's going to say something here, and I don't know that they dwell on it too long. My memory was that they don't dwell on it too long, but check it out.
Oh, the Tuesday.
Yeah, it saved everybody.
What's new? Black people saving.
Yeah, we saved that comedy world. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah,
saved them.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important. Choose whatever black comedy club you want, but you got to do it for the next young comedians who are coming up in this business so they can have an opportunity to perform. Not to see us, but them to get
here's
good.
the thing, though.
Okay.
Black comedy owners have to take some fucking responsibility and run their shit right.
Right.
Some of them just run it ragged. They just have a fucking room.
Yep, that's so
shit
true.
Ain't working right. The seats, the environment is trash.
Put some money
got motherfuckers screaming and yelling. We ain't
Put
playing that shit.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We have to hold people who own a business
I totally agree.
accountable.
But that's why
good management.
But this is what I'm saying.
Wait.
What you're saying is right.
Wait. So you heard, all right. That argument, I know it's true, but that argument, it ends up bothering me on that, because it starts to bleed into an excuse to not do. I know that's not what he's saying, but it's just the way I don't like that argument. But here we go. It's getting there.
It's right. But that's why we got to perform there so they can make the money to invest back in their business.
But they got it.
They got it.
Thank you.
Because that's Comedy Factory. Is that dude is running that
Damien,
club.
shout out to Damien. That's my man.
Nothing's more Baltimore. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn.
Yeah, but
So-
he has a money. He had that his boss got the money, and he finally Damien's just a face in front of the club.
He's not. But he's
Damien
managed.
And then listen to the shift. This is what I said. Speaking of Keenan Ivory Wayans, but that's where I started to laugh. And then listen to the shift where it goes from ownership to management.
Holds it down.
He's holding it down. He's there, hands on.
They had the security in that motherfucker.
But what I'm saying is, without money, they can't do that because you got to have money to do that.
But you have to have a good manager that's running your shit.
You still got to have money to get good people.
We know that, but you can have the owner's never there,
right?
But he's the face of it.
Now it's not the owner because the owner's never there. We don't need. It's not about the ownership because the owner's never there. You need good management. You need good management. Be your own boss.
Right.
So, yeah.
He's hands-on with the customers. He's hands-on
but
with
after all these years, what you're saying is right.
Good management.
You got to have good management, but you got to have money. He's there because he has money. The place got remodeled because they're making money off of our hard work.
But it's also people want to come because if it's some fuck shit going on.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is when black clubs make money, they can better their environment.
Yeah, but
if black people make money,
but you gotta have somebody. A lot of them be staying raggedy because they used to go and we're still making.
Look at how this is the funny. This shit is so funny to me. Kirkland is just calmly sitting in between the two of them, saying, "Wait a minute, it's because he got the money." And they keep cutting him off on both sides, saying, no, wait, but you need the management, but you need the and Kirkland keeps saying, wait, no, because he got the investment. But you need the security. You need because you need the money. And he got the money because we make money for them. And he just hired someone to manage it. And they keep wanting to argue
they're
with him.
raggedy because they're not making the money. There's no profit. You don't think so?
Sometimes they making money and pocketing it. And they're not investing in the
because it's packed still.
Because it's short term. Black folks is always
so here's how
we say that. That's why. Because now the argument changed. See, I am gonna text him because Dante was kind enough to reach out to me. I'm gonna text him and say, listen. I'm gonna send him this and say, listen, I was having some fun Saturday dusk. This is late night for Jared, but come on, man. So this is it went from we got to be our own boss, you got to have ownership and independence, to we got to be good managers, to even when we got to have the money, to even when we do have ownership, we don't do it right. Even when we have packed clubs with black ownership, we just don't know what we're doing. And then that's why I don't like that whole yes, it's true. Black business owners should do their best to give their customers the best service. But that's not why black businesses are not successful. They're not successful because, as Kirkland kept calmly saying in between, they don't have white venture capital, which is, by the way, why whatever percentage of white businesses don't succeed. You still need more elite white capital. So, and now, but that's why I don't like that we just got to do better service, because it again opens the door to, oh, that's because we just have a backward culture.
Just trying to manage to get by.
Two things can be true at the same time.
All right, good save. All right. Hold on, a couple more things from this, and then I'll peek back in the chat, and I don't want to get distracted with all the corrections yet. All right. a little bit more here, because here so here again, and this is why I'm just going to blanket this with, and I'll all right. So first, just so I don't forget, why I'm arguing again humbly why my work would be of value here is again because the conflict that they're having here is in trying to deal with the contradiction of, again, lack of capital versus the mythology that Black businesses fail because Black people don't know how to do business, or that Black people are financially illiterate. And shout out again to Geechee and Renee. I'm assuming this is gonna, I don't know when this is gonna exactly happen. I don't remember, at least. Renee will correct this in the chat or in me later. But the no, whenever Geechee arranged for us to be talking to somebody who is doing just this kind of work and talking again about the mythologies around what Black capitalism can and cannot do. So more on that. But this is part of what that mythology is arguing. Max Haven. When are we doing Max Haven? Or when is Max Haven coming on the show? Anyway, whatever. But so that's why I would argue that, and I'm, when I text Nero, I'm gonna say, salute to you again for reaching out to me. So I want to do you the same respect and say, this is why we should build. So that's one of the contradictions they're running into, that we should support Black business, but we can't because they don't do what we want them to do because Black business isn't funded enough by white capital. So this part is where they get into the payola part of podcasts and why you got to get your hustle up to get sponsorship. And again, listen to how this is. Oh my goodness. Listen, Kirkland keeps, and I'm actually very interested to know what he knows and how much of this is him being funny and how much of this is him accidentally walking into this. But this is again why this kind of, like, I do want others to engage the work, because I feel like they keep stumbling all around all the arguments that we keep making. All right, here we go. Let me play this.
How long you do the podcast?
It depends. See, y'all do. Let me tell you. Yeah, he did it once. Listen to me. You know how my shortest time?
What?
He's talking about his length.
Probably 15 motherfucking minutes.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. And sometimes I do an hour. You know what I'm saying? But I'm busy. Fuck that.
I'm gonna tell you something.
I ain't doing it.
A lot of motherfuckers will do an hour, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at your analytics,
yes.
If you watch the watch time and the watch time is 9 minutes, why are you doing an hour?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Here's the thing that
ads. And well, but yeah. That's a good point. It is a good question.
we want to school people on podcasting. Everybody wants to do a podcast.
Everybody not
But
interested.
the goal is, ladies and gentlemen, is figure out how you can monetize and make money. Just don't go around saying you got a podcast and you ain't making no bread. The purpose of doing a podcast is to make money.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Also, you want to.
So first, as I did note this, I disagree with that. So I don't agree with that. Now, I know they're doing this they're talking about this in the context of comics trying to build up a fan base so they can circumvent the industry. So I don't want to act like I don't know that was the context. But I just wanted to put it out there for the world that, as someone, shout out to all the low power FM mixtape DJs, guerrilla radio broadcasters, the cabralistas out there broadcasting in the hills for a specific yet relatively small audience. It's not all about money. Sometimes straight up, it's therapy. So, but it's also political. For some of us, it's political. It's not about making money, and and the idea of making money for media content and production. Shout out to Pacifica Radio. Shout out specifically to WPFW 89.3 FM in Washington, D.C. I know nobody there is doing it for money. And yet there's a lot of important. So I disagree with that, and I just wanted to leave to just throw that out there real quick as we get to the real point of this part.
Have quality shit.
You want to have
to affect people.
Right. And here's the hustle. See, most people think you need major sponsors. But I tell people you can have your podcast in your neighborhood, right? And you got businesses all in your neighborhood. You can go up. We hustlers, right?
Yeah, you can hustle.
We hustlers.
Get them, yo.
I don't have sponsors.
Yeah.
I have people who pay me from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
To pay me to mention stuff.
Yeah.
So I make a lot of money doing that. But people don't have that fucking go get it.
No.
All right, so this is again. Oh man, he's explaining my argument, and I think he doesn't mean to, because he's contradicting what but listen to what he said. Go to your local community and your local businesses and get ad revenue for your podcast. That's why, just as he was pointing to in the previous segment about black comedy outlets, that you need money to put on a good show. The reason, as he just said a few minutes ago, that the spot in Baltimore is doing well is because white money hired a competent black manager to competently run a black comedy club owned by white folks. And then he had that argument where he's sandwiched between two people yelling at him saying, no, it's about the management, and then switching it to, first saying it's about ownership, then switching it to, no, it's about management, and then switching it again to, if you do own it, you just corruptly or financially illiterately waste the money. Here, he's saying, go to your local corner store and get ad revenue. And then he contradicts himself again by saying, because I've reached a certain level of celebrity, and if you've ever heard TKKirkland talk at all, this dude has been everywhere with everybody around every single thing. So he's led regardless of his talent, he's led a very particular, unique life that he is admitting here he can now monetize internationally by having people pay him to say stuff. And again, as avid watchers of Veep will know, this can be, kind of hilarious. So I really, these are those little moments where I really do feel like I wish, could maybe not like right in this exact moment, but could I be part of the conversation? Could others of us be part of the conversation? Because so much of this could be cleared up or clarified to another level. All right, one more from this, where they talk about why Eddie Murphy, because this was something I never knew. So speaking of Saturday Night Live and SNL, this was something I never knew. How Eddie actually got on that show the first time, and how it was kind of a glitch in the Matrix. And it's in the context of Godfrey explaining why he was not selected to be on the show.
Tell someone like you at your level.
Why did he say?
He said because, and this is what he told me. And I even asked.
So this is him telling, and again, I obviously put the link in the show description so you can hear the whole story. He tells the whole story about how he gave this crazy audition, killed it. And Godfrey's been in a lot of spaces that I don't know that if people who are even as unfamiliar as me would know. But he had given this great audition for SNL, and then this is his explanation. He's being told by Daryl Hammond, a former player on the show, who tells him years later why he actually never got on the show.
Even asked him again, "Were you drunk?" He goes, "No, I was telling you the truth." He goes, "Because you'd have taken it over. You would be too big for the show." That Eddie Murphy thing was one of those.
Yeah, they did say they would never let that happen again.
They were like, they didn't want to see that. You would have been like good looking, but you would have been like Eddie.
Yes.
And you would have been too much.
Yes.
That's what he told me.
Because Eddie got his break because
Charlie Barnett couldn't read, first off. And Dick Ebersol was the guy, and it wasn't.
Exactly.
And Lauren had taken a break.
And
Dick came in and was like, fuck
that's what changed the game.
Which was a great pick.
Because it was the other guy. There may not be no Eddie Murphy.
Right. Yeah. And Eddie, and so they didn't want that. Because you remember when they always had beef. And Eddie always had a problem with everybody else because he was the only cast member that hosted SNL while he was on.
So again, I encourage people. The whole conversation is great to watch, and I encourage people to check it out. But again, I think it's fascinating, especially in the context of something titled "Be Your Own Boss." That whether they got it right, whether I feel like they got it right or they didn't. Everything kept coming back to which white gatekeeper selected you for, and even going back to the 5 heartbeats, which white gatekeeper selects you for your opportunity. So the idea that someone as talented as Eddie Murphy might not have had a career, because it is true. If Lorne Michaels starts the show and then at some point he steps back, the show isn't doing well. I forgot the details, but he takes a year or two off, and Ebersol comes in, the NBC executive, and he's not thinking about SNL as a long-term show in the way Lorne Michaels is. He's thinking of, I need hits. Eddie is a hit. He's not thinking, I don't care if he takes over the show. He's not going to be on the show. I don't care if he's on the show. We'll put him on everything else. But from Lorne Michaels' perspective, it didn't work. So the idea that someone as talented as Eddie Murphy would not have a career if Lorne Michaels, who is considered the godfather to this day of all these other comics, isn't there, that's crazy. Another layer would be to think about, how many careers has he not allowed us to see because he's intentionally selecting people and then limiting those he does select so that they don't become another superstar, so that he can preserve his show as opposed to give the world access to great talent. It's crazy. It's but again, this is in the context of them talking about be your own boss, and everything comes down to, do I have a white gatekeeper, green lighter, or Yeah, I mean, I don't think people doubt that the industry is rigged. It's much like the rest of life, that the mythology, what was in that Marisa Baradaran article, the Rockefeller disciple, scattered success breeds universal hope. So people see the scattered success, and it breeds this universal hope that I'll be there. I can get there in whatever industry we want. We see whatever Black or whoever we identify with being positioned in whatever we want to be at, and then we think that therefore we can get there, and therefore we don't need to struggle against it. It's so they know it's rigged. I mean, to be perfectly fair, to be perfectly honest, I love Robert Townsend and all his work, but as he explains in his own documentary, he sees the rigging of him being told there's no audience. And I know he doesn't say this in the documentary, but I know it, so I therefore know he knows it. That what that means is white executives are telling him white audiences aren't going to want to pay to see this film. Not that it's not a good film, not that we can't market it to black and world majority audiences, not that we can't market it to white audiences in a way to make them want to see it, not that it maybe doesn't matter if white people don't want to see it. My favorite quote from Nina Simone is when she's about to do oh man, what's the song she's about, the song Lorraine Hansberry wrote, Young, Gifted, and Black. And she tells her white audience, you know, no disrespect. How did she put it? Oh man, damn, I used to know the line. Oh, this is terrible. But the point is, she was saying, I'm not talking to you, is really what she was saying. She said, I'm just not talking to you. I'm not disparaging you. I'm just not talking to you. So if you're here, enjoy the song and relax and chill. But just shh. So in other words, the film industry executives could have said, we'll just step back and let you talk to your black audience then. Or, as he also points out, that there was a white audience for it, we'll let them find the film. But no. But my point is, Robert Townsend knows that this is rigged against him, and then he just finds other white benefactors who will greenlight the film and give him a moderate budget and time to do it. And the only way to do that is to not rail against and promote the rigging of the system, and to be the scattered success that breeds universal hope. Oh, that's funny. As Zoe Saldana, what she said. Oh man. To be perfectly honest, I have a lot of little quiet. I don't talk a lot about boycotts because I don't like the strategy, but I have a lot of little boycotts, and she was one of them. Once she signed on to do that film, and the way she did it, I was like, what, and who's in her team? I hope she fired everybody. You're right. Everything's rigged. Everything's rigged. And yeah, I think that explains a lot, not just about SNL, but a lot about everything. That a lot of what we see as a finished product has nothing to do with people trying to give us the best product they actually can. And then I got to go back and find this thing, but I just saw in passing, and I got to look up and learn more about it. But this thing that there's actually overt discussion in TV series and film production now about being the second screen in the household, desiring, that is, to be the second screen, knowing that, and not trying to compete with the first thing that someone's doing, that is by being on their phone or on their computer, that you would just have it on in the background, and that there's an intent to create scripts and stories that won't interrupt the fact that they're meant to be in the background. And so again, the idea that people are intentionally doing the best they can is not, that's part of the rigging too. They're not. They're trying to produce an environment that will subsume all of us and negate all of us, sort of, and limit our aspirations and our dreams and our and political goals and everything. But I just thought that was, yeah. All right. Oh man, what happened? All right. I did want to get into something here, but I can't. Why isn't the link opening? All right, we'll come back to that. Try to come back to that then. I was sent this clip as well, where again a little bit of the buying power stuff shows up in the context of this conversation. I don't know anything about the subway takes with Kareem Rama, and the polemicist sent me the tweet, and I'm glad I saved the link this time so I can credit polemicist with sending this to me. And then let's check this out here.
So what's your take?
Bring back segregation.
100% disagree.
Dead at, bring it back. I want to know where I'm not welcome, okay? Put them signs back up. Colors only, whites only. Let's do it, all right? Rip the Band-Aid off, especially for a restaurant. Are you kidding me? Whites only? What do I want to do in there? What they got? Mashed potatoes, mayonnaise, hot dogs? Colors only, we got seasoning, turmeric, paprika.
Okay, I like this.
Okay.
You were saying that the black excellence.
Absolutely.
The segregation is to get
the colored excellence.
Okay.
Okay, what's the playlist in the whites only spot? They playing Carrie Underwood and Kid Rock. We playing Babyface and Diggable Planets. Ain't no.
That's funny, and that's bars. That was funny. That was the line. I was like, you know what? Bring segregation back. That was funny.
No overhead lighting. What are you talking about?
Wait, where am I going?
Overhead lighting.
Colors.
Hell yeah.
Look at his hair. Talk about where am I going? That's the problem with North Africans.
That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. I'm in. 100% agree. Let's go.
Talk about where I'm going.
Oh, man. Yeah.
What happens to you in the...
That was a little bit of a confession. Unless it was for humor. That's a confession. If you have to ask.
Summertime.
Where are we putting the Italians?
Listen.
I just want to know.
I don't need their food. I don't like tomatoes.
So they're going on the white side.
Black people spend over $1 trillion a year. I would love for the government to force us to spend it on our own people.
This is very good.
See, there it is again. See, that's all I'm saying. Force the idea that segregation forced all the buying power to go to the black community is, Baradaran talked about it. I've tried to at minimum talk. She pointed out you can segregate people, but you cannot segregate money. So it also misunderstands a lot of what has been mythologized about the movement to desegregate. There's that important distinction between desegregation and integration. And a lot of what the argument actually was to desegregate the resources. That was part of the problem, that segregation doesn't create this $1 trillion that gets distributed among black people, and then black people live in this plush utopia. Again, this government imposed Wakanda is what she's fantasizing there, but what it does is it cuts off the black community from equal pay, equal access to tax revenue, equal access to beyond tax revenue, given again this MMT slow motion study I'm on. It cuts people off, it cuts black people off through public policy to the wealth that is being extracted from them and turned into greater wealth for a smaller amount. This 800 people worth $6 trillion. So what desegregation, a lot of it was attempting to do was to say, get us those resources. It wasn't about let's hang out with whites, let's go eat unseasoned, bad music environment, white food. That was never the point. And it wasn't about having white partners and white and us beautiful biracial children. It was not about that. It was about black people being by law forcibly cut off from wealth and resources that they were generating for other people. So I get the jokes and the humor, and she had me with the Diggable Planets reference. I get all of that. It's all funny, but it just shows again how these myths seep into pop culture and pop understandings of everything.
Yeah,
I like this a lot.
I brought you over to the side.
And the black airplane?
Oh, come on, the Soul Plane, baby.
I want to be on Soul Plane.
Yes, it's going to be noisy on there, but that's what noise cancellation headphones are for. You know what I'm saying?
And they're going to have all the good movies?
All the good movies, all the good music.
Oh, man.
And while we at it, bring back sundown towns. They never left, but...
What's that?
Well, a sundown town was back in the day during Jim Crow, where black people weren't allowed to be in a town after the sunset.
Wow.
So those towns never left. They still exist in America, but they took the signs down. I want them to put the signs back up. I wanted to say 248 miles to the next town that likes colored people. Get your gas in Atlanta. Don't stop till you get to Savannah. All right?
I'm with her.
He with me.
Look, I get the general, the basic premise that let's be more honest. If my life is going to be threatened if I go over there, then let me know, and I won't go over there. At least. Woo! That was funny to me. Oh boy. Yeah, that was, oh man. Yeah, I made myself laugh with that one. That was a good one. And I couldn't even say it out loud. All right, so that was that one. All right, what's this one here? I got a couple of these. Oh man. So my note on this one was, is this kosher? It's kosher for Black culture. And maybe you all have seen this already, but this was
use of Black culture.
Oh, okay.
See that O with the U right there?
Yeah, that's the kosher thing, yeah.
All right, that stands for Orthodox Unions. This symbol lives on 91% of the food in your kitchen today.
Right.
How it works is the Orthodox Union approaches food-based companies. And they say, we got a group of people that want to make sure they can trust your product.
Right.
This symbol right here generates $12 billion in licensing revenue every single year.
To the Jewish community.
So that's what I'm inspired about.
That makes sense. I like that.
It's retaining our economic impact on the economy and repurposing it in ways that can truly improve our condition. Are you leveraging Black creativity, likeness, or influence in your product?
Right.
We've created the kosher mark for Black culture.
That's cool. What does it look like? Little M at the top there. That means made. And made is the M-A-D-E?
M-A-D-E. Made with Black culture.
Made with Black culture. That's cool. I like that.
We certify the commercial.
So if I understand this, I love the idea. Let's have an organized Black political entity get involved with this Black kosher symbol. Are you taking advantage of Black culture, performance, likeness in your product? Put this kosher on it, and then you have to pay the Black community X billions of dollars every year. Again, I'm all for it. I'm all for all of this. I'm all for all of these efforts. So apparently, and I have not investigated this, but apparently there is a kosher brand symbol that goes on many products around the country, made with Renee, I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to keep a straight face for 2 seconds to make this point. You can't be raising these kinds of questions or points in the chat. That is hilarious. That's the funniest, the biggest reveal of the whole story. But second to that is, first of all, is it true that this kosher symbol develops 12 billion for the Jewish community? And then what does that exactly mean? Because if it means a Jewish, financial or business entity is got this little hustle of getting the national sales community to pay them for this kosher symbol, this this kosher. If that is in fact true, why replicate that? I wouldn't advocate replicating that. But if there's a way to put where's the comment again? If there's a way to put the made symbol, as in made with Black culture, on anything that reflects the likeness or performance of Blackness, and that the Black community get this money, I'm all for it. Does it go to him and then he redistributes it to the rest? Or how? I don't know exactly how that works, but B.E.D.S. We made the B.E.D.S. Oh my God, that is hilarious. Why is he explaining the concept of those two non-Black people? Is he seeking funding? I don't know the context of the video. That is a good question, but it would be perfect if he's seeking seed funding. It would be similarly perfect if he's trying to explain this to them to drum up support for the idea that white businesses who might be listening to their show would contact him and say, hey, listen, we use Black originated slang in our commercials. We use hip hop or some blues or Black cultural performative in our I don't know, and we're going to pay you a licensing fee. We'd like to contact you to talk about a licensing fee for Blackness. Maybe that's why he's doing it. I don't know. But it's damn funny. But the MADE acronym joint is hilarious. I'm starting to think somebody just got stuck. And they wanted to say made with Black whatever, but they just said M period AD, and just got stuck. Oh man, that was great. That was great. Why won't that article, that link work? All right. So I do want to but it just occurred to me before we started the show that I don't think I can reveal any important details about this article I wanted to talk about, because it's not yet published and it's been submitted to be workshopped, and only because I did that Hopkins workshop and they let me stay in the group do I get to see other papers that are being submitted to be workshopped. And honestly, there's been a lot of interesting papers and chapters, and I just love this whole. So if folks remember, a couple of months ago, I submitted this chapter I'm still working on and actually redoing on the narrative, the history and the narrative of Black capitalism. And I was able to workshop it at this Hopkins graduate symposium. Well, I got to stay. They let me stay in the group, so I see when all the papers come through. And every couple of weeks during the semester, these papers come through. And what is going to be a book chapter that involves research on the electronic frontier is fascinating. And because finally the schedule and all this aligns, I'm going to be able to join virtually and watch the discussion about this next week. So I'll have more to talk about that next week. That is on Wednesday. So next week I'll probably have more to say about that next Saturday. But the long story short is that what I found interesting in this paper, and want to hear more in the discussion of it, is that it's another argument that technology does not change social relations, only policy does. So a lot of what this chapter talks about is the history, beginning with the late 80s, early 1990s, of those in the hacker community in this country basically saying, we see what's coming with this computer and internet stuff, and we need to have the country should establish some rules and regulations about how this is going to go, because this could go a lot of different ways. And if folks remember, in like Sasha Levine's book on the surveillance state and all this, the going back to the 70s, there were protests all over the country, as mostly I think college students were aware of this thing emerging called the internet, coming out of ARPANET and the Defense Department, and having all this potential to surveil us and limit our access to news and ideas. And they were like, I don't think this is a good idea. Well, this chapter is talking about some more of that history in terms of the computer. And they even talk about bulletin boards. And some of us, I even remember bulletin boards, those old, use your telephone to get on the internet, the modem to get on the internet. And they go to these bulletin boards and post these text messages. And it was like all these people talk. And I didn't do it. I was not too much, but I was at least enough to know that this is interesting in the late 80s. Largely just didn't have enough. I just didn't have enough interest. We didn't have enough money to put stuff into stuff that I wasn't interested in. You know what I mean? So if I was interested in it, maybe we could have worked something out where I could have gotten better tech or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But for the most part, it was like, if I'm mildly interested, I just didn't, so I didn't get too much into it. But so they talk about that. But what was happening that I didn't know about was just all of this. Hey, this stuff is not all necessarily good. And one of the things that really got my attention in this article was that the author is talking about how one of the early founders of this electronic foundation, electronic frontier movement, and a website and work that still continues, had been moved by a talk that he had seen given by a medieval historian named Kathleen Biddick on uncolonizing history. I might want to read that at some point. But this article moved him because he connected it immediately to what he saw happening in cyberspace and what was the colonizing of cyberspace, as he talks about in this, is talked about in this chapter, where William Gibson, author of Neuromancer and among the leading literati of the cyberpunk genre, seemed to sanctify cyberspace with modernism. This idea that cyberspace was being seen by some as an automatic good. But Barlow, who is one of the founders of this electronic frontier, was saying that he saw a colonial world in cyberspace where only white males and were included, and their AIs were included. And this is in 1990, where in other words, the colonial will, and because, as this article talks about, or this chapter talks about, so much of what was being discussed in those spaces was contrary to this person's concerns, where, as it's described here, the conceptual architecture of virtual colonies as the medium of cyberspace for the masses was seen as a good thing, where colonists were seen as tough and sacrificing, as is in the old mythology of the settler colonial U.S. history, that those who conquered the U.S. were tough and sacrificed, and those who went out in the westward expansion were rugged, not genocidal maniacs stealing people's land and enslaving others. No. You know, and then this person is saying, yo, this logic is carrying out into cyberspace, where talk of settlement and colonization echoed across the chat rooms, and print culture consumed the internet users and computer people of the late 1980s and 1990s. They're talking in here about colonizing Mars. And I remember my first trip to East Africa in 1996. Bill Clinton was quoted in the press as saying he wanted to colonize the moon. So I would love to show you more of this chapter, and I actually thought I would, but then just before I was thinking, no, I can't, because this is not. It's not. But it's a fascinating book chapter, and I look forward to when I'm able to share more of it, and maybe we'll see what happens during this week. Maybe have the author join us at some point, because it's really fascinating. And I do want to read one thing that was, there was, some of you may remember the name Lloyd Blankenship, who was one of the founders of all this, and wrote what was considered by some the Hacker Manifesto. And he sort of explains it kind of is reminiscent of what Barrett Brown has said here about his initial engagement with the so-called hacktivist community. But Blankenship said, we make use of a service already existing without paying for what could be dirt cheap if it wasn't run by profiteering gluttons, and you call us criminals. We explore and you call us criminals. We exist without skin color, without nationality, without religious bias, and you call us criminals. You build atomic bombs and wage wars. You murder, cheat, and lie to us and try to make us believe it's for our own good, and yet we're criminals. So, and then the chapter ends up talking about, interestingly, how the hacker community has ended up reifying in some ways the neoliberal state. And it points out specifically that while supposed black criminal drug dealers were being brutally, violently repressed by the police, white hackers who were seen as a threat to the whole existence of society were rarely put in jail, according to this chapter, and were, unlike Barrett Brown, and were often hired by the state and promoted in films as heroically as in the film I used to love, Sneakers, with Robert Redford and Sidney Poitier, where hackers are depicted as heroes. So, and then in fact, the ending has a nice line in it. So I'm interested in seeing what this is just a chapter of and what the full work is about. But hackers had seemingly fallen from the scions of the new economy to the disaffected grunts of American capitalism. So they went out there to conquer the world and change the world and ended up becoming servants of it, of this order, which was a little bit of a disappointing note to end on, but it was a fascinating read. So but then I did go and look at the Electronic Frontier website and found, just quickly, or maybe not so quickly, where did it go? B.E.D.S, heartbeat, boycott, dollars, why kosher. Wow, that's really weird. All right, well then the whole note is gone. Huh. All right, well, just very quickly, I'll just pull it back up here. Electronic Frontier Foundation had this story about 23andMe. Just a little bit. It's so that article mentioned Electronic Frontier Foundation, and then just to see what they were up to most recently, I just took a quick look and saw this. And the long story short is that now that 23andMe is filing for bankruptcy, they're selling all of that genetic data. It is unclear what will happen with your genetic data if 23andMe finds a buyer, and that uncertainty is a clear indication that you should consider deleting your data. So if you have a 23andMe account and didn't know about this, apparently they're going bankrupt and might be selling your data, and we won't know to whom. Or whoever used that service won't know to whom and for what. So, and for those who have always said they're not going to do this for various reasons, this is another. But this is in part what Electronic Frontiers Foundation and this chapter was looking to talk about, was that without public policy, without political constrictures put in place, you can't just say, ooh, we have new technology, everything's automatically going to get better. Ooh. Yeah, that's true too. I'm sure whoever can hack their system already works for them, or the state, or a proxy, or the state like MIT. Yeah, you might be right. Okay, good. Thanks, the ancestors. I downloaded my 23andMe data before they blocked you from doing that? Damn. So, all right, let me see. So one at least another thing, let's see. Let's I wanted to play a little bit of this story here because it's and hopefully we can get get the football crew together to talk more about this. But and I can attest to this because I consume a fair amount of sports media as it relates to world football, and none of them that I'm aware of have ever talked about any of this. Like I've never seen any of it, and I consume, again, a good amount. Not bragging, confessing, admitting, begging for forgiveness for. But yeah, and they don't talk about this, but a lot of people around the world are saying, yo, world football has all this to say about Ukraine and sanctioning Russia and nothing to say about Israel. And a lot of people are saying, get Israel out of here. If from all these football federation things, like you do everybody else, you want to punish for war crimes. So I just want to play a little clip of this, one person's response, and because she summarizes it pretty well, and I'll put the link to the whole thing in the whole video in the show description. But this is the
sports journalist, and in Liverpool, in England, we have Layla Hamid. She's a football journalist. You're all very welcome to Roundtable. Mohammed, I'll come to you first.
Okay, I meant to go. Okay, whoops. So it's when they come back to her. She's got.
This is definitely the greatest football league campaign that we have seen in recent history. I mean, we are witnessing actually a historical moment in football. I have never seen before fans from different countries, from even direct rivals, united for the same cause, to support Palestine and to also demand for justice, which is the background behind the red card Israel. These are football fans who are fed up of seeing their favorite sport, the beautiful game, being used in some way to whitewash the war crimes happening in Palestine by Israel. So they have said enough. They know football can be a force for good, and they are just using it to make it being seen in every stadium. So yeah, like you said, it's been spread across over 25 countries, over 100 clubs, fan bases have added to the campaign in 6 different countries. Is definitely amazing. And it's really, what is mind-blowing is the fact that sports media is not actually talking about it. This is a campaign that should be on every sports media forum page, and it's being actively ignored, and it's actually really sad. But yeah, anyways, they are not being silenced. They keep trying. The calls keep growing. Every weekend you hear about a new fan base taking part of it, demanding for changes, not only from the world but also from football authorities. So I think it's a beautiful thing to see, definitely.
I love it. So they talk in there a little bit about the club Celtic in Ireland was one of those leading the charge, and the folks remember after a certain queen passed away, they were also in the stands talking with that chant, "Lizzie's in a box, Lizzie's in a box." So they understand colonialism and in many ways an appropriate response to it. So but yeah, red card for Israel. They should be red carded and out of everything. So that whole discussion is interesting because you hear from Palestinian footballers and other folks. But I just thought Layla's portion right there for the quick moment that we had here for it really captures the point that it's a massive campaign. Many people around the world are calling for this, and yet the sports media they're not even addressing it, which is wild. Yeah, the stands, that must have been a moment to be in the stands for that one. But yeah, shout out to Ireland for that, for sure. That was but yeah, at minimum, how can people sit there and say what Russia's doing to Ukraine is so bad that they should not even be allowed to participate in sports, but what Israel's doing to Palestinians is passable by the world body of football? And again, let's be fair, even from the sporting perspective. Let's just be honest and be fair, and let's step away from the politics for a moment. Just from a footballing perspective, nobody's going to miss Israel's absence. Like it's not like You're saying take away the best, most money earning, audience drawing, threat to win World Cup community. So let's even just take the politics away from it. Israel's absence from the world stage of football is not going to be missed. So it's an easy bare minimum fix for the problem. Are they even relevant at all? I'll have to ask my little sports crew. My little football roundtable when they reconvene. So yeah, my godfather, Mr. Porter, mentioned in a recent interview that we need to read Lenin's Infantile Disorder. I haven't gotten far enough, so that's in a forthcoming note. These conversations that a lot of people are having. I mean, there's a lot that's been happening on Black liberation media that's been great. Millennials Are Killing Capitalism has been great. And other than that, other than what's on Black liberation media, Millennials Are Killing Capitalism, I honestly don't think I've been dealing with too much political media. Everything else has been this silly stuff, if I'm being perfectly honest. Or either silly stuff or something more serious regarding this book chapter. And the redesign of it, the Hopkins thing was dope. Reading is not studying, and writing alone for most of us is not wise. You got to get some collective feedback on it. Is there something on here I could get together real quick? I don't think I'm ready to. Did you all see? I just want to get this out the way while we're here, and then I'll get back in the chat for a second. Because this channel I come across because I did get dragged down into this rabbit hole of all these white podcasts hosting black gangsters that end up getting these and it just ends up being, can't say the podcast is responsible. It just ends up being that these black gangsters end up going to prison. And I ended up, one of the channels that covers that ended up playing this clip. So if any of you are familiar with Benzino, the MC, former head of the Source magazine, who I really honestly only know because I wasn't reading the Source much at all, ever, to be perfectly honest. And I never read the Source at all when he was in charge. The only reason I really know of Benzino and that I appreciate, and I admit this is a mess, that I appreciate Benzino is because he was one of the loudest voices condemning Eminem's role in hip hop. But apparently recently he goes on this other white hosted podcast and gets into this argument where I don't know how much I'm going to play of this. I'm just going to play this one little clip, I think. But the argument started because the white host is saying, I'm hip hop. And as a hip hop fan and head, I have to call you out for what you did to the Source magazine. You presided over its downfall, starting with the payola that you took to give 5 mic ratings. And Benzino starts saying, look, I don't care what you think. I am the culture. You're a fan. And I let me just play.
I fumbled, and I wanted to talk about it.
18 years.
I understand that, but you could have made billions. You could have made billions.
Have you ever had the ball?
No, I haven't.
So what the?
I'm asking
tell me
I'm
about
asking you.
something that got fumbled.
I'm asking you.
You could have. You're going about it wrong. You're going about it how like white Eminem fans go about it. Hold on. You're going about it like you had the source and it got fumbled, bro. You don't even have. You've never done nothing.
Do we agree the source could still be a thing right now?
Do you agree that you ain't done in hip hop?
I haven't done the source. You're right.
Do we agree that you have not done?
I have nothing to
So
source
then what gives you the fucking right to even question about something that I fumbled?
Because I think I didn't say you fumbled. Did I say God fumbled? I don't know.
Fucking magazine, so it it comes to me.
The source.
Who the are you to tell me something I fumbled when you ain't done?
The source.
Nothing.
The source.
Hold on. Answer that.
In my opinion,
the source. Answer my question. What gives you the right to say something that I fumbled as big as the source and as much as it did? What the have you done to give you the right to say that to me?
I'm not saying.
No. Answer the question. You already said it.
What gives you the right? Because I have a microphone in front of me and we're on my show.
Right. Okay. So what I'm telling you is, you ain't hip hop. You ain't done. And you're just a fanboy. That's it. Nothing else.
So you don't think the source could still be running?
I don't think that you know what the you're talking about.
You don't think the source could still be running? Could be a huge multimedia company.
See,
like Revolt and everything like that, right?
How long have you been doing? You said 48, right? Don't you see the process? It takes a while, right? You go. It's not that easy, is it?
No. It's
all right. Then who the are you to tell me what I should be and what should be and what? Worry about what the you should be.
I'm asking you.
You're a fan of what the I done. I'm not a fan of what you done.
You're right.
I tried to be, but you giving off a hater vibe. You giving off like some Eminem vibe. Who's oh man, and you fumbled it. I don't want to hear that. Everybody has something and something might have happened. I had it 18 years and made millions of dollars and did all around the world with it.
Yeah.
You all right? Well, you can't tell me nothing. None. Or any other can tell me nothing about anything I done. You was a fan of what I did.
So my only real problem with that is that I think they bleeped out the word cracker, and I'm just opposed to that. All the N-words that get thrown around here, are you really bleeping out cracker? All the anti-this and violent that gets thrown around here, and you bleeping out that? So that was one thing. I admit, so first of all, I never cared about the source in the way that a real hip hop head was supposed to have back in the day. Once I realized that it was white owned and Harvard originated, it always bothered me that history, that David Mays and all that history. It just again spoke to all of the problems that I've always had with this narrative around hip hop. I just didn't have the language for it at the time. When by the time Benzino was running it, I again wasn't paying any attention at all whatsoever to the source. But I admit an affinity for that in that context, other than the question of why are you there in the first place, Benzino, is one, if I keep the theme of this is why my little bit of contribution to the work is of value, because all of this is happening absent an understanding or a discussion or a context of a colonial relationship, a media environment, corporate ownership, this whole thing of for Black people to be successful, they have to have white venture capital and co-signing and investment. That's another theme, not intended, but running through this whole evening's discussion. To the contradiction of the colonization of Black people playing out through the production of rap music and hip hop culture that would create the situation where it's evolving in the first place. Even remember Fanon said there's no blues without slavery. So there is no hip hop without the violent conditions. There is no Source magazine without a white Harvard student saying, let me cover this Black music that I like, which is again, a tradition going back to blues, jazz, R&B, everything. And then a white podcaster, whatever, I don't know the man, whatever his history is, however hip hop it is, I appreciate the argument that your relationship to it is not the same. And I do appreciate Benzino being triggered by Eminem's place in this. That's why he keeps bringing it up here. You're like them Eminem fans. But at the same time, you took payola to sell 5 mics. So, you know, that is messed up. But it goes back to the whole thing we were talking about with Godfrey and Black business. The problem with the Source collapsing is not that Benzino did shady, dirty, rottenest things. It's that the Source existed in the first place. It does give vibes to me of when Frank Wilderson said, I don't hate police. I don't hate police brutality. I hate the police. And I honestly don't know who the dude is. I saw this on someone else's channel who covers all the beef in all these other spaces. So I don't, you know. Oh, wow. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I don't like Benzino is not the comrade I'm looking to defend per se, the perfect comrade per se. But again, so more maturely, I would say it would be nice to have that brought into the context of that discussion so that they don't have to be screaming at each other with hostility. It might be helpful to understand, well, why are, even going back to my whole ongoing issue with how any group is discussed, Jews included, that why are people ending up in the places that they end up, taking the positions that they're taking? And I get it, in the heat of the moment, that's not going to go well. You can't, you know, but that is what I would like, you know, it's, and why is a Black comedy, what is the word I'm looking for with Black comedy, a Black comedy venue? Why is he successful? Because he's got white money. Why was Benzino there to succeed or fail? Because they had white money. Oh, wow. Most of the books I have about African diaspora music are written by white musicologists. They're the biggest collectors of African Caribbean music, too. I can't afford vinyl anymore. I got a guy. My godfather, Mr. Porter, has a whole lot of vinyl. I just saw his collection the other day. His house is filled. So if you're looking for vinyl at an affordable price, holler at me. I'll put you in touch. He distributes to the world. Did I get a review copy of? No. Is it? Oh man, congrats, Poncho. No, my review copy is not. Man, I would have been said something about that if it had. Is it? Am I getting a hard copy PDF? I haven't gotten anything. But whenever. And again, folks, if you don't know, Poncho I've had the pleasure of publishing with him, building with him, interviewing with him. And when this book comes out, we'll do more. But Poncho is, again, evidence, proof that not everybody in academia is a chump. And in fact, there's more good people than get credit for, I think, in academia, to be honest. But Poncho's definitely one of them. No, but I didn't get the book yet, my man. And congrats, but congratulations. I'll take the PDF. I'm not picky. I'm good with a PDF, and I'll buy the hard copy. Even back in the day when I was trying to do mixtapes, I support artists. I will buy artists that I know and who do good work, even if they want to give you free work. But definitely congratulations. That's very dope. Yeah, that's true too. The internet has changed the way I hear PDF file. The internet is a mess. And that's why the electronic there was some folks trying to ring the alarm. But that's again, white liberals, that's what they keep saying. They end up on team black because team white don't want white liberals. Oh my goodness. So I did that. I can't open that. You know what? Let me see. Let me clear this roster. What's this one? Let's do it. So Thick Saban. I got this from them. You talk about college students, Spelman has a name, but if y'all think everyone on campus has money, you're crazy. I started at Spelman homeless, and it's time we had this conversation about Slutty Vegan and its owner because, yeah. So
owned by black.
Well, it says here, Spelman students voted to replace the Slutty Vegan on campus after complaints of high prices and limited food options. Being black owned isn't enough, students say.
Slutty Vegan, a black-owned restaurant owned by black woman Pinky Cole, is closing down its Spelman location after being voted out by the student union, or like the student restaurant union or whatever. And some of the students, I was just reading the comments. I reached out to some of the students. They wanted to stay anonymous, so I don't want to put their name out there. But a lot of the students were saying it was limited options and it cost too much. So if you ever had Slutty Vegan, you know they're not cheap. They're not a cheap option, right? It's a premium, it's a premium food. But they got voted out, and I'm not sure if you ever heard of Twisted Taco. You ever heard of Twisted Taco?
I have.
So they're being replaced. Slutty Vegan is being replaced at the HBCU Spelman by Twisted.
No. Twisted Taco, a Tex-Mex restaurant. Oh, man. Enter university site. So they have a university site. And now they can add Spelman. Wow. So, as I was saying earlier, black-owned businesses got to do better. Godfrey was right. That's bad because you know what? I'm going to ask students. Because at Morgan we have Chick-fil-A now. We have for a couple years now, that Auntie Annie's Pretzels thing, and which was voted. I remember because I've been telling students it was voted the most unhealthy food option at the airport. Again, that Annie's Pretzels, the most unhealthy option at airports. So of all at airports, the food options at airports, it's the worst. But it's at Morgan. Yeah, I'm interested. I'd be interested to see what students say about that. But that's you would think that if a black woman opened up a restaurant chain, that Spelman would be the place to have an outlet. And nope. All right, let me see what this one is. Let me see. Let's see what was this one now? Companies that remain committed to DEI initiatives. Oh, right. So at least as of March 16th. So this may have changed. But the idea that we should support these companies because they have DEI and that's somehow going to make the world better for black people. Delta, Macy's, Apple, J. Crew, Vogue, Costco. So this idea of boycotting to support these companies as if this is going to make things better for black people is just absurd. And this is the point. This is why, again, what Renee showed a few weeks ago on her show, DEI did not benefit black people at all, specific to Target. And as she showed, black workers, overall black employment at Target went down under DEI and only went up 3% at the level of black representation of the board of directors, which is, again, a few black executives getting jobs is not revolutionary. So this idea that we should support Apple because they have DEI and that's somehow a good thing is that's not even an appropriate demand. That's what I was saying earlier on her show today on Saturdays with Renee. Like, let's be more aggressive with the ask. So all we're asking for is black representation at Apple. What is Apple's revenue? Hold on. What is no, why would I have to pay for something that tells me that? March 2025, how Apple makes $391 billion in revenue. Son, I don't get, are we serious? Representation? So look, I'm just doing this off the cuff. So this is not Renee spreadsheet level analysis. This is just Jared off the March 2025. So their revenue is $391 billion. 51% by the phone, services, and where and anyone is supposed to be excited about what? That they hire some black executives? So 391 billion in revenue. Let's see. Doesn't 20 billion solve all of homelessness in the United States? So I'm just like the ask needs to be more. Who gives about some representation? Put some mozzarella, put some mozzarella on my pizza. But seriously, yo, Parrish. Parrish, I love seeing you in the chat. I'd love to see you in real life more, my man. Let's link up, my man. Mama's Biscuits in the building, everybody. Mama's Biscuits in the building. And always with his blessings for the good atheist JB. You know what I'm saying? That's love right there. All right, I'm gonna make a note of that. Exactly. Who gives a fuck about representation? I would be honored to write a book with that title. Seriously. 390, like who, like serious, like that's so all right. Let me see. I think I got one more here. So that's not opening. That's really disappointing. I don't know what's up with that. All right, let's look at another one here, and then oh no, oh wait, I did that one. All right, hold on. Okay, here we go. Again, forgive me for not remembering who sent this to me. Apologies.
Point in life, we're going to have to address black people getting ahead and then charging other niggas to get ahead.
Oh.
It's not community. Like, for example, you saying, oh, your house should be in a trust. Why do you got to charge me to show me how to make a trust? Why not just teach me how to make a trust? The goal is that we make it easier for the generations that come behind us. Just give the knowledge. Why do you got to charge me for the knowledge? Invest in the stock market. But I'm going to charge you to learn how to do the stock market. Why? Why not just learn so you can teach? That's community. Learning so you can teach. Bartering. Okay, them niggas got eggs, them niggas got a farm. I'm throwing down $30 here, $30 there at the grocery store. Fuck the fee. Give me some eggs. I'm gonna teach you how to put this whole farm in a trust. Y'all don't barter. Y'all greedy. Why is hair $500? Y'all greedy.
Absolutely. Thank you, whoever sent me that. Exactly. So you made all this money and I got to pay you to learn how you made all this money? Oh, no, I'm paying you because that's how you make all this money. Aha. Aha. Do you know, and I was just sort of forced by accident to be in community with this person again virtually recently. And I didn't confront this person when this person said this to me live in real time. And I've always regretted it because their behavior bore out this comment early on when we first met. And they said, we were both newly PhDs. We had just gotten our doctorates. No. I had just gotten mine. This person, this person had actually, I don't think ever finished and got theirs. So let me strike that. But we were endeavoring, we're on our path or whatever. And this person said, oh, we had been invited to a panel. And they said, oh, I'm not doing that because they don't have any money. I'll never forget it. And I always regret that I didn't call it. I didn't check. I should have just deaded the relationship there, but some other things would have been, I don't know. I had reasons to rationalize it at the time, but I've always regretted it. And the point being, because my argument was, wait, so and then we're not talking about universities. I'm all for it. You get invited to a university, but we're talking about it like a community group. And I was like, all I did say is I'm not charging them. Like that much I said was I did let this person know that I was not going to charge. Like I'm not going to charge them. I'll happily show up. But what I should have done, or I've always wanted to have done, is to be like how. But it's that same kind of logic. Oh, I got here. I worked hard. I'm getting a doctorate. They see me as having expertise worthy of their time, so I should charge them for mine. And I'm like, so yeah, I agree with all of that. How could you? I don't think I've ever charged. I just wouldn't take the money. And then the people with actual budgets, like I'm just not on that tier, so I don't have to worry about that. But like, but community folk, like, why would you charge? But I always remember this person saying that to me, like, why would you? And you're gonna? Oh, no question. Institutions, come on now. Remember when Peniel Joseph, and I don't mind sharing this because you know, Peniel, he's got all the bags. When he showed up to Morgan State, he said, he told me to my face, I only charged Morgan $6,000 because that's my HBCU rate. I said, 6,000? I could give talks to like 20, 45 and still not make 6,000. And you giving I was like, you got 6,000 from Morgan State? He was like, that's my HBCU rate. I said, damn. But yeah, get it. Universities get it. Even with him, I'm not mad. Get it. But 6,000, I just remember thinking 6,000 was your discount? But we know that's not what happens, Brittany. Come on now. I'm telling you, when I saw, this is in 2015, I was at the Real News when I saw the Black Lives Matter founders on speakers bureaus dockets getting minimum 10 to 15,000. I was like, wow. He meant what did he mention on Joe Budden? Can you, Simon, clarify that for us real quick, or me real quick? I mean, really, he's like, you talk here all the time. I'm getting a percent of your salary just for today. Get your paper, JB. I'm saying, I'm hustling backwards. The booking agencies be making bank off the black rad. Yeah, I bet. I had no idea. I was really, man, I was so naive up until the early 2000s on that. That's where I was naive. Not on stuff like Obama and but on university speaking fees and that time. I've told this story before, but that time I was at when was this? Sometime 2013 maybe, at the University of Miami at Ohio, when and I was to be on a panel with Bob McChesney, the famous white media scholar, whose work I used to really like. I can't front. How much did I think I got paid $3,000, and I was like, wow. And I know he got, I don't know what he got, but it was definitely much more than that. But I remember he gave the talk the night before I was supposed to respond to it the day later. So I had to watch his talk. And it was a good talk because he was good. I used to like, I think he was really advanced on a lot of the history of US communications. And I even still think his idea with Nichols, that people should advocate, that people in the media reform spaces that used to exist should advocate for a federal subsidy so that people could use a portion of their tax dollars to pay for whatever media they want. which would theoretically allow for alternative media to get a federal subsidy, is essentially what, and I thought that was an interesting argument. But anyway, but he gives this talk, he's saying, and he said at one point, I give 50 of these a year. Blah, 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 on to his next point. And that's the only thing from his talk that I remember. 50, even if that's an exaggerated number, you're giving 50 of these talks a year. You gotta be making six figures from Urbana-Champaign. You gotta be making a nice, because you write a lot of nice, well-received books, and they deserved it. They were good books until I heard an unfortunate rumor. I don't even think it would be appropriate to share. I have no proof of it, but it would. I used to read his work a lot, and one of his last books took a decidedly different take on his approach to politics and media. And someone once explained to me why that approach that changed, and it was unfortunately, I don't know. I wish they don't want to come forward because it would anyway. Not a scandal sexually. I don't want to be misrepresented there, but there was a turn in his work that I noted. I was like, this is different for you. Anyway, but he's giving this talk. He says 50 times a year I give talks like this. And I remember thinking 50, I'm getting 3,000 for this. And this is my one of the year. 50. And you're getting 5 times what I'm getting? Have to be. Maybe 10 times. That's a grip. That's a nice, and the talk, again, he was, I thought, a dope scholar. But the talk, this is literally the only thing I remember from the talk. And I'm like, 50. Damn. This is a hustle. This is a nice little bag. I only learned about this because we brought speakers in college. Bare minimum back then for booking agency was 7.5. God damn. Yeah. Salute. Get it. My homeboy ran the booking for music. Big Rose ran the booking for music at Frostburg State. So I saw a little bit of what they were getting, and it, and I saw what the budget was for that. Universities, even little Frostburg State, they got money. Or used to. Who knows what will happen after this administration gets finished with everybody. But that's what that just to quickly, and I'll start to wrap this up, but to put a bow on this, I was saying this to my classes the other day, what are we asking for? What are the demands? So I said to them, listen, this is one thing I want to put in your mind, grapes students. In the next couple of years, you're going to be asked to vote for folks at the midterms, for the next presidency, for whatever. You're all Morgan State students. Put on your, as Glenn Ford called them, bright line issues for voting, a permanent reinstatement of what has been told to us to be a permanent reduction of our university budget of $12 million. And then I said, but no, let's think again in advance of another Trump-like administration. And we want to get our president off the hook. We don't want to put this on our president to go out there by himself and have to fight the good fight by himself and risk. Did I see that correctly? That $1 million+ salary that he bumped up to last year. So let's put it on us as the Maryland, as Morgan State faculty and students, Maryland residents, taxpayers, and say, you know what? You want my vote for Congress, Senate, governor. I bet Andy Ellis would be willing to do this, and I'm going to put this to him, my Green Party nominee for governor. If you want my vote, I want on your top list of items, I want a permanent reinstatement of $50 million to Morgan State. Just as a practice for what it feels like to put an actual demand, a tangible demand, not some DEI reference. I don't want to Two Black suggestion. I don't want another black rep on this board, another black rep on that, whatever. We were told Morgan is getting a permanent budget reduction of $12 million because of Trump. Fine. You want my vote? I want $50 million promised in a permanent budget increase back on Morgan's docket, just as a practice, just as a little tangible, easy. They took 12, we want 50. Easy. We don't have to do a whole lot of research. Don't have to do a whole lot of Renee level spreadsheet data. You took 12, we want 50, or you don't get my vote. How about that? Because I know the only other reason I'm voting for you is because you're a Democrat. Right? Right? There's no other real policy behind it, right? So you know that's why you're doing it. You're only voting for Wes because he's black. You're only voting for this one because someone told you to. So just put one little tiny fucking thing on it. You took 12, give us 50. And let's see what happens. You might be right, cynical. Maybe there won't be another presidency. But I'm just saying, somebody is coming around sooner than later to say, vote for me because I'm not them. I'm going to save you. I'm going to do this. So let's get the 12 million back. Yes, Yipper, if you missed it. We got shirts. So if anybody is interested in MOBP, Real Financial Literacy is Political Power, it's not an overly aggressive or hostile. You don't have to worry about upsetting people at the store. I'm out here in these tree-lined streets. I can't be upsetting people with red, black, and green and fists and a whole bunch of... People don't even, they don't even know what it is. So I'm going to find a way to thank, like I was saying earlier, with this batch, I would like to just give these away to supporters, and then we'll find another way if folks want to do something else with the logo and with the idea, or come up with a better one. I am limited in my imagination. But this is not a sustainable operation. What I did was rushed. So I'm happy. We got like 15 or 14 shirts, medium, large, and extra large. So it's even limited in its size ranges. So something around, I was thinking patrons, channel members first. And if any, one per, whatever, pick a size, and then we'll see what's what. But I would like to get more because, actually, to be perfectly honest, I would like Black Liberation Media to sort of, whenever the new logo is decided upon and all of that, it was so much easier to just grab a shirt and do a show. I don't like thinking about my wardrobe for more than a few seconds, as some of you may be able to tell. So I don't like having to find something to wear for the show. I like grabbing a shirt So I just, let's just get some shirts and keep it moving. Whoo, that was funny. That was some fun. This has been fun. I really appreciate it. I meant it. This is therapy. This is tough times for a lot of folks. I have a good time doing these lives, and I really appreciate you all coming through. And please do support. Two Black was in the chat. Salute. Please check out all the Black Myths, which is so much more well organized and produced. Please check Saturdays with Renee. Everything on Black Liberation Media. Again, I like sharing that the last platform meeting we had was very inspiring. I'm very, very excited for the direction of that platform. Please get involved, support. Obviously, your support here is welcome, but it's much more valuable to support Black Liberation Media as a concept, even. So please do that, and both is easy, so it's not that deep. And what else are you watching? Silly stuff like I was looking at. What else are you looking at? No, salute back, man. It's definitely check out Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. And Black Men Build too. So Two Black, Jared Ware, Josh Ingram, Renee Johnston, and I'm sure Pancho in his forthcoming book are really, for me, important sort of marvels in organization and structure. I'm never good with that, never patient enough for it, or can't get my mind right around it. So at minimum, you always get that with them. But this has been fun. Big shout out to my 00 African crew and the inspiration at the attempt with the Black Excellence Deep State. Definitely look to have more fun with that in the future. And who pays the budget for Morgan State? Maryland taxpayers. And every however many months, the president goes and puts in his budget request to the state and says, this is what we need. This is what we're trying to do. And while our president let us know that the state is going through with all the funding for all these new buildings and STEM-related institutes, faculty will have to figure out a way to make do with this $12 million budget. And obviously what that means, is, and what sucks about it is that, again, it always starts with the lecturers, the adjuncts. They're the first ones to lose contracts, and nobody gets fired. You just don't get your contract renewed or your courses picked up. They told us already, this doesn't apply to me because I know I'm not getting one, but if you've put in for a sabbatical, and you should get one every 7 years, roughly. I haven't had a sabbatical since 2015. And by the way, that sabbatical was really a fugazi relationship to get me some time away from that even more fugazi dean. And during what was supposed to be a sabbatical where you're taking a break to refresh, I did over, I think, 1,000 segments all told in terms of on and off camera at the Real News Network. Only to have most of them put behind some sort of unlisted whatever or disappeared because, who knows? But my point is I should be up for another sabbatical. There's a handful of people at Morgan with more seniority and rank than me. But they've said if you're not already set up to have one, don't even put in. Ain't no money for it. So in other words, the people who need jobs and the people who need and deserve and have earned breaks from their job to do other work, by the way, it's not just a paid vacation. You get full pay for one semester and half pay for a year. And then you're expected to produce something. Now, usually people produce a chapter, a book, an article. They're not expected to go to work every damn day and produce 1,000+ segments that don't get even. But the state pays the and then Morgan has this special relationship where it's not really in the Maryland system and really only reports to the board of directors who report to the attorney general, if I have it correct. So there's not a lot of oversight. So they just go straight, make their appeal, get that bag, and then. And I don't want to say nothing good happens. There's an actual fair amount of good work that happens, but a lot of that money. Remember what? Did I do an office hours on that? Did I do an office minutes on that? Oh man, there's been so many wild conversations. I didn't. The cavernous black hole into which millions of dollars disappear every year, and I don't know where it goes, was said to me. Yeah. Kenyatta, thank you for the super chat. Dr. Ball, I followed a link for I Mix What I Like website, which led me to BPM, and the rest is history. You got me into this YouTube mess. My bad, Kenyatta. Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, that's how I feel about folks too. Jab, is your narrative of the real news experience? Who were the true villains? I might have to save that one too for a little memoir story. Man, that was a frustrating year. Who were the true villains? So what I will say tonight is that it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The structure is the villain. A left-wing white man who inherited millions of dollars said he saw one Paul J video and said, I'm going to fund that. And that's why you have a real news network and why Black Liberation Media and many of the rest of us struggle the way we do. And as I told Paul J to his face, that is the only difference between you and me. So this idea that you are a singular special genius in journalistic talent is bullshit. The only difference between you and any of the rest of us is that a rich man saw you and said, I want to fund that. And that's why we have a real news network to this day. That's why they have that building downtown. That's how they got the building and all of that. And then that same white man told me to my face, the real news could disappear today and I'd still make 10 times profit just because I bought the building it's in. It was wild. It was wild. And because I was only there on sabbatical and not beholden to that space for a job or a career, and I knew I was there temporarily, my relationship was very different. Was what jealousy? Black Planet was the best spot on earth. Maybe. All right, good people. Oh, I've shared several. I will share all of mine. If I have plenty. There's really only one area of my time at the Real News that I don't know that I would ever want to like that's really that I probably wouldn't share in a public setting, but the rest is I've actually in part I think I was told off the record that I got myself in trouble with even successive management because I went on record about the former management. But yeah, I don't mind telling. I don't know if Kim would want to share, but yeah. Has Jackie ever shared her stuff? Her time about that? No, I was not there when Kim was there, and I was not there when Jackie was there. In fact, funnily enough, Paul J thought that I was going to be So I say it this way. If I had one more of these beers, I would probably sit here and tell you that every Black person that has been there since 2015 is either owes me credit or blame. From Bill Fletcher to Glenn Ford to everybody else. In fact, Paul J initially didn't want to work with Glenn Ford. The first meeting I had with Paul J before any of this happened, I told I'm not gonna stay here too long. I promise I'm not gonna tell them all. The first meeting I ever had with Paul J about any of this, I told him I'm not the guy for you. You need Bill Fletcher. Because my politics, you don't want my politics. You want Bill Fletcher's politics, which was fine. Like, and at the time, I respect and I had more then, but I was like, Bill is cool. But you should work with Glenn. He was like, nah, Glenn, he kind of dismissed Glenn as talking too much shit. That's wild to me to remember that too. But years later, so this was a few years later or earlier, but a few years later when I ended up doing the sabbatical there, there were Black people working there, but they were either tech folks behind the camera or they were on camera and not seen by Paul as political. So when it comes to politicized Black folks being at the Real News, again, I'm not going to say it now, but if I had one more of those, I would be saying is because I was there and I was telling him that was always our point of tension. You have a pretty good analysis of labor, of media, journalism. And I always appreciated that Paul was very clear what he wanted. Paul at least was clear what his mission was. But I just kept saying your mission doesn't it but I kept telling, that's it. I'm light-skinned, but still No, but the thing has always been for me, look, I get it. I've always been very clear for the most part when people have tapped me because they think Jared is that sort of gateway for me into Blackness. And I don't do well with that. I've never been able to take advantage of it. I reject it. And the same way I told Glenn, like, Glenn, me and you can't be the faces of Black Agenda Report, right? there's only so much of this that can be at the forefront. So I was like, look, man, I need the sabbatical gig. And one day I will fully more explain. I'm happy to share that story. Like, I needed the sabbatical gig. But I was like, Paul, like, you need to get other people in here. You need to be doing this and hiring that and doing this and focused on that and giving people the room to do this. And he was I'm telling you, no, that's the point, Yipper. You're not listening. I wasn't. I was saying I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. Get the non-beige involved. And that was part of the problem. That was part of the problem. So no, I wasn't there when Jackie was there. I wasn't there when Kim was there. The only on-air black faces that you saw when I was there was the Haitian sister who was not that political, and what's her name, who had been on B.E.T, Angel, who had been on B.E.T. And Paul didn't think she was political. And he would complain about it. And I'd be like, but you hired her. It is beige suicide, man. Look, I get it. There's beige privilege and people work this thing. I've just not done it right. I've not done it right. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I've just failed at it. Look, look, and then and I will wrap here. Nobody knows white people in this world like Black Americans. And this is not some FBA shit. This is about history and relationships and proximity. And within that community, none of us know them better than those of us with a white parent. And when we are honest, that experience is really very revealing. So my experience has been, I don't want that white invitation. I don't want it. And it is, you know, maybe a couple of times I should have taken it, given what I've seen other people get away with. I should get a Nobel Prize. You're right, Yipper. You say that as a joke. I should get a Nobel Peace Prize. No, what they should do is for everyone, what they did with this is what they should do with what they did with this, and then I will, and this is it. Give everybody, from African descendants to every other aggrieved group, all the reparations. I actually forgot what I was going to say with that joke. What was I going to say with that joke? What was it? Beige privilege? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Nobel Peace Prize. Give everyone their reparative justice, and then hope that they do the right thing with it. And that's my bridge even to today's Saturdays with Renee, and the slight, not even disagreement, but the slight difference of approach to that ending discussion. Let's not worry about we'll fix the mistakes after that. Give everybody what they need to repair. And then, as they said with Obama with the Peace Prize, we hope you earn it. We'll give it to you now and hope you earn it. Yeah, I know. Nah, yeah. All right, everybody. Big thanks to everybody who was here to hang out this evening, and to those who will see any of this later. Peace and thanks to you as well. Big salute and thanks to the 00 African community and their inspiration for that cold open. And peace only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. And we'll catch you next time right here at...
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm. Kindness, kinship. Love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago for which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, that set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.